Hello, my name is Tracy Held. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia. Thank you for joining us for our first vlog hop. We're a group of international Stampin' Up! Demonstrators and we are hoping that this is going to become a regular event. You may have noticed that I don't have a lot of content on my YouTube channel yet. This is because it's very new. It was only set up about a week ago. So I'm going to try very hard to get lots of exciting content up for you. Hopefully you'll like my work and enjoy the projects that I share with you. So please subscribe to my channel and you will then be notified every time a new video goes up. So without further ado, let's flip the camera down and I will show you what I've designed for you for today. Here's the card that we're going to be making today. So I'm using the Blossoms in Bloom stamp set, although this card is less about the stamp and more about the designer series paper. So for this paper, I've used the Artistry Blooms designer series paper. So this is the paper that comes in the pack. That's the other side of it. And for this card, I've used that sheet. So it's got that sort of green background. Okay, so we'll put that over there that you can see it as we go. So to cut my paper, I've taken my 12 by 12 inch sheet and cut it into 6 inches. Then for my first strip, I've cut long ways across and those strips are 1.9 centimeters or 3/4 of an inch wide. And once I've cut that one off, I've then cut my other strips going in that direction. The reason that I've chosen this paper is because it's got the white bits in between and I'm working on a white background. So that makes it look like you've got the white showing through, but you can use whatever paper you like. So I'm very aware that we're international, so I'm going to try and give imperial and metric sizes. So my card base is my standard half a sheet of cardstock, 14.9 by 21 centimeters or 5.5 by 8.5 inches. I've then got 2 pieces of Whisper White, which are 14.4 centimeters by 10 centimeters, or 5.25 by 4 inches, and then my designer series paper strips. So we're going to start with one of the white sheets and the strips. Now, this can get a bit messy. You are working with glue. I use the Tombow liquid glue for this because it gives me wiggle room before it dries. So I'm going to work on my silicone craft mat because that just makes everything not stick to my grid paper and the glue comes off easily from the craft mat. So for my first strip, I'm going to stick that strip across. Now I'm just going corner to corner, because that's what works in my head, but if you wanted it sort of off center, you can do it however you like. So I'm trying to bear in mind roughly how far we're going to glue it. And there's my first strip done. Now I'm going to go and put my other pieces as I go along. So all that I'm worrying about for the first one is that gap there. When I'm going along, I'm going to try and keep that gap the same and that same gap going along next to it. And I'm then going to keep going until all my gaps, all my full card is covered. Okay. Right. Now, when I'm putting this down, because this is all cut from the same piece of paper, you can see I've got the lines going along. I don't want it to look like it's in a stripe, so I'm going to flip the paper so that it's not matching up as I go along. And once I've filled in a lot of the strips, what I'm going to do is cut off the bits that are hanging over the edge and use them where I need smaller strips. So I'm going to carry on doing this. I will fast forward the video because this is a bit repetitive, so I'm guessing that you don't need to watch me doing this the full time. Where you've got these tiny little pieces left over at the end, you can just pick up a tiny little, so I'm going to just put the tiniest corner of that piece of paper in there to cover that up. Okay, and we'll just hold it down for a second or two so that it can stay stuck. And again, in that corner, and that is such a tiny little bit that I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so once we've got all our pieces stuck, I'm going to trim the edges off here. I am going to cut it on my trimmer so that I get it nice and straight, because there's not a chance that I'm getting anything straight cutting it with the scissors. But I just want it a little bit closer. Right. And then putting in my trimmer. That, and these pieces are all gluey, so they will kind of stick, but that's okay. I can clean them off afterwards. Go away. And I'll give my trimmer a good clean once I'm finished. But there is my piece all done. So I'm going to take that and fold my card base in half, give it a nice press with my bone folder. And then I'm going to stick this piece onto the front. Now, I wanted a sentiment, but I didn't want a sentiment that was going to take up a lot of space and detract from my designer series paper pattern, which is why I went for just a thin little happy birthday. So how I did that, getting the colors in, is I took a skinny strip of black paper and a Versamark ink, so give it a rub with your embossing buddy so that you don't get static and you don't get extra pieces everywhere. I've got my happy birthday stamp. I'm going to stamp that with the Versamark ink. I am using the Stampin' Pierce mat, so because it's a photopolymer stamp, stamping on the mat is going to give me a nicer, crisper image, particularly when it's got text. So throw my embossing powder over. I want a little bit more there, and then I have to flick off the excess. Right. And let's make a little bit of noise, so I'm going to set it with my heat gun. I don't have a Mango Melody Stampin' Blend, so this is Daffodil Delight. It's going to be fine. So what I'm doing is I'm colouring over my happy birthday, and because it's on the black background, you're not going to see where the colour's on the cardstock. So I'm just giving it a really good coating of the color, and then I'm going to heat emboss that color again just to dry it and set it. The color does fade a bit with the heat, but that's okay. So I'm going to then cut that off, make that fractionally shorter, a little bit more than that to get it even, and I'm going to flag it, so maybe cut that a little bit short, but that's okay. Go. Oops. Okay, so using my black mini dimensionals, I'm going to stick this onto the back. So if I'm using dark cardstock, or particularly the black cardstock, then I like using the black dimensionals. It just hides them a little bit. Okay, so kind of in the middle. All right, and then I've cut out some flowers. Okay, so that was using the dies that coordinate with the Blossoms in Bloom stamp set. So those were the two background ones, and then I've cut those ones out in black with some of the adhesive sheets on the back and stuck them on top. And I'm going to just go easy with the glue if it wants to come out, because you want to just use a light hand so that it doesn't squish everywhere. And I'm going to put one flower over there, and then this is the smaller one. So we're going to come in with the smaller one, and it can just sit underneath that one. And the same on the other side. A little bit closer. Right. And in my opinion, bling makes everything better. So my pick it up tool just disappeared. Okay. So I'm going to put a diamante on. Right, so there we go. And then for the inside of the card, let's just put in my Stampin' Pierce mat again. So with my Daffodil Delight, I do mean Mango Melody, I'm stamping a flower in the corner, and then using Early Espresso just want to stamp that off because I don't want that Early Espresso to be too dark. And that can stick inside my card. And there we go, we're done. So I hope that you like this project, and hop along to the links below so that you can see the next person that's in the hop. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you again next time. Bye.